So a food company currently has 5 convenience stores, and it's considering 2 plans for expanding it. Open 4 new stores a year, or open 20 new stores each year, or use technology. So plan A, you open 20 stores each year. And then for plan B, we're going to look at the next side over here, and you double the number of stores that you have. So here in year one, we went from 5 to 25 stores. So the difference from the previous year is 20. And then we add 20 more stores. So here, 25 plus 20 is 45. And we would have 20 more stores. Then you just keep adding 20. So you can just, on here, go 45 plus 20, which is 65. And again, that's 20 more stores. Here we would be at 85 if you add 20 more stores. If you add 20 again, and you can use a calculator if you need to, that would be 105 stores. Add another 20, 125, 20 more stores. Then we have 145, 20 more stores, 165, 20 more stores, 185, 20 more stores, and 205, 20 more stores. So one thing that I noticed about the difference from year to year is you always add 20. So the difference is always 20. Now, if there are n stores in 1 year, how many stores will there be 1 year? Will there be a year later? So you take whatever n is, and then I would just add 20. So what do you notice about the difference every 3 years? So if I started at 0 and then went 3 years later, I added from 65 minus 5 would be 60. So from year 0 to 3, my difference was 60. And if I go from year 3 to year 6, I would go 125 minus 65. Which again is 60. So the difference is 60. So if there are n stores 1 year later, how many stores will there be 3 years later? So it would be n plus in 3 years, you added 23 times. So it'd be 60. So n plus another 60. So now here, if we double the number of stores each year, so we're going to use technology to complete a table here, and we're going to just keep doubling. So if I take 5 and I double that, I times that by 2, and we have 10 stores. Then for the 10 stores, again, for the next year, I'm going to double by 2. And if I do the difference from the previous year and do 10 minus 5, it's 5. So now the factor, though, to go from 5 to 10, what you multiply by, you can go 10 divided by 5 to figure out the factor. The factor is 2. So the difference is what we're adding, and the factor is what you're multiplying by. So now if I take my 10 stores and double them, I have 20. So my difference, if I subtract 20 minus 10 is 10. But my factor, 20 divided by 10 is 2. And then here we double again, 20 times 2, which is 40. And the difference, if I do 40 minus 20, is 20. But my factor, 40 divided by 20, is 2. So what I'm going to do now is kind of just fill down a column kind of quickly. So I can go 40 times 2, get 80. Then I can just hit times 2 and get 160. Times by 2 to get 320. Times by 2 to get 640 stores. Times by 2, we have 1,280 stores. Times by 2, 2,560 stores. Multiply by 2 again, 5,120 stores. So now here, if I figure out, well, what's the difference and go 80 minus 40, you get 40. 160 minus 80 is 80. 320 minus 160 is 160. 640 minus 320 is 320. 1,280 minus 640 is 640. And then if you notice, every time my difference is the previous number. So here, this is going to be, the difference here is 1,280, and my difference is doubling, so 2,560. So what do you notice about the difference each year? The difference is increasing. And in fact, we can be more specific. It is doubling. What that means is we're multiplying by 2. And then this factor, if I divide 40 divided by 20 is 2. The factor is going to stay constant and be at 2. So here, just to say the factor, that is what you multiply by. So if there are n stores in 1 year, how many will there be a year later? So if you had n and 1 year later, it would be 2n. So what do you notice about the difference every 3 years? So if we go from the difference to 0 to 3, our difference was 20. And then if we go from year 3 to year 6 and go 160 minus 20, it's 180. And then from year 3 to year 9, or from year 6 to year 9, if we go 1,280 minus 160, we get 1,120. So the difference every 3 years, I go, is there a pattern here? So if I go 180 divided by 20, it's 9. 1,120 divided by 180, it's 6.222. So what we can just say is the difference every 3 years is increasing, and it's quite a large increase. And then what do you notice about the factor every 3 years? Well, the factor is always the same. Now, if there are n stores, how many will there be 3 years later? So if we did n, remember the first year we would multiply by 2, and the second year again we would multiply by 2, and the third year we would multiply by 2. Remember, these are exponents, so if I'm multiplying by 2 repeatedly, I would add the exponent, so this would be n times 2 to the 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So there would be 2 to the third times n powers, or times n stores.